And I obviously want to begin with the latest on the Mets DH conversation. So here is what we have heard this week. Now, although the Mets were expected to bolster their bullpen by signing a legitimate reliever or two in the coming weeks, they also remain interested in adding a serious bat to an incomplete lineup. Early this week, Andy Martino reported that if the Mets were to make a splash at any point during the remainder of the offseason, it would most likely be for a designated hitter. After rumors spread from alternate outlets regarding the Mets' interest in free agent bat Jorge Soler, John Heyman reported that the Blue Jays are considered the front runner for Soler, but reportedly prefer a left-handed power bat instead. Other teams linked to Soler, like the Red Sox, have reportedly shifted their focus to retaining one of Adam Duvall or Justin Turner. Although the interest in Soler, Martinez, or Turner is uncertain, the Mets are still not the only club in the market for a DH-type bat. Along with Toronto and Boston, the Giants, Rangers, Diamondbacks, and Mariners are all seeking a power piece. Mets president of baseball operations David Stearns made it clear that they will keep all options open regarding any additions to the lineup, but also acknowledged that the Mets want to give their young players and prospects room to get playing time. Mets' internal options for the DH position currently stand at recently graduated prospect Mark Vientos and outfielder DJ Stewart, who was brought back earlier this offseason with team control through 2027.
This whole situation, again, is an identity crisis of what the fuck this team is. Because a win-now team goes out and fixes their holes and gets the addressing if it's Soler, Teo, JD Martinez. That's what a win-now team would do. You have a problem, there are good options to fix it. Make those internal options either trade chips to fix other issues or just extra depth. But again, we have seen from our new overlord that is the Dumpster Dave, he has been, we want to give the young guys some AB, but maybe we'd what are we doing here? Is it, again, because he won't just say, what the plan of the season? Oh, we want to be competitive. Well, competitive teams fix their problems. And this has been a problem for 10 years, it seems like. Yes, seeing the young talent, whatever. If you're trying to compete, and you have a guy in either Soler who can give you 40 homers and be productive, or if it's JD Martinez who is a better overall hitter and can give you that protection, that's what a winning team trying to make the playoffs is doing. Is this year about development? Then rock with the Vientos and DJ Stewart option. But again, like I said before, if this is a waiting to be opportunistic and, hey, getting Soler on a one-year deal, fine. And, playing your hand of you don't want to lose complete leverage in Soler, being like, well, you need a DH, but you're saying to the public that you're good with this platoon crap can give you a little leverage in negotiation. But again, it's just this constant state of what the fuck is the plan for this year? Is it playing the kids and that's it? Then don't look at the DH. Then just run with spring training of letting the Vientos, DJ Stewart, Jet Williams, ABs or whatever in September and August, whatever, or whoever prospects you, what else you want to come up in September.
My 5'8" DH
wants to be competitive for a playoff spot, then grab the guy that can fix this problem the last 5 years. We kind of know what I don't think Mark Vientos is going to get, he's not going to be this superstar. Can he hit you a lot of homers? Does he make hard contact? Yes. We got to do the same thing with DJ Stewart. He could play the outfield if need be. Let him be the fourth outfielder. I am fine with him in that role. Now you've got 6 outfielders now with Tyrone, with Taylor, Bader, him, and Marte and Nemo, and there's 9 outfielders now on this fucking roster. But besides the point, it's just the continuation of just Stearns not telling the fans what the fuck. Again, hey, maybe we'll be aggressive in the market, and maybe, again, not trying to lose complete leverage with agents, but still, it's just this constant, we want to play the kids, but hey, maybe if Soler or maybe JD, Justin Turner really is kind of quiet down, which I'm kind of happy with. I didn't want Justin Turner, so I'm kind of happy that kind of faded away, but who knows? Again, she's still out there too. But that's my thing. Either tell us, make the move and be done with it. And is this just waiting for Soler to go down to a one-year deal like Teoscar Hernandez? Probably. And again, he's trying to play the waiting game. Hey, can I get Teo for 1 year? Let's call it $17 million, just to throw a number out there, 16, 17, whatever. Maybe that's his plan. He's just trying to wait out Soler. But again, it's just I don't like this passive. I like a GM that's aggressive. That like I see a problem, go get it done and stop waiting. Like the Braves, they see a problem, they go get their fucking shit and be done. But yes, you can be opportunistic with Cohen and waiting out the market, which we'll see if he does. But I'm tired of this. Well, we can do this and do this. Like, say the plan and be done. Is it play the kids or are you trying to compete? That's just how I've been. It's just this constant, just up in the air of, he should just pick something and do with it because I'm tired of talking about it.
There's a lot of talk about, DJ Stewart, of how well he did at the major league level. And then you also had Mark Vientos get a decent amount of sample, not as much as you thought it was. Maybe there's a possibility you see another, if they don't get another bat, that you do see like a DH platoon again between DJ Stewart and Mark Vientos. I don't think that happens. I think they're just going to have one of Vientos or DJ Stewart up here, and the other one goes in AAA, depending on what goes on in spring training, mainly because I just know that Stearns is a really big proponent of versatility, and I don't think he wants two DHs on his roster. I get that DJ Stewart can play the outfield, Mark Vientos the infield, but in a pinch, both of them are DHs right now.
My point's been very clear all off season. I think the DH should be a very high priority for the New York Mets. And it's mostly because the fact that it's been an issue ever since it's been implemented. We talked about it last week, but I just don't understand how many more years this has to go on before they actually try to legitimately address it. That's the thing that bothers me, is that they say, oh, well, we've tried to get DHs, we've brought in guys, but you haven't actually been getting quality guys. Like, you've tried to take like the simplest approach possible, like the easiest fix, just the cheapest options. Like, okay, let's just get Vogelback, and even though he gave Colin Holderman, but
here's how I would phrase how they've done it. They haven't addressed it, they've just danced around it. Like, they've sprinkled around it.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we're getting some in-house options. We're going to try this, we're going to try that. And none of it ever works. And it's like, here you have a bunch of options of guys that get their job done. Obviously, I love Teoscar. He's gone. But you still have an amazing option, Soler, and a very safe option, too, in JD Martinez. So you got two guys right there. And you mentioned the Boston Red Sox about, them trying to figure out who they want to prioritize. You can even throw Adam Duvall into there. And I'll tell you what, I would have been so much more on board with the Mets bringing in Duvall compared to bringing in Harrison Bader, because Adam Duvall could give you very good outfield defense. Not Harrison Bader caliber, no question, but he gives you quality outfield defense while still giving you a legitimate power bat who could be at least above average offensive player. So again, just the way, and could also DH for you and things like that. So it's like you could have once again solved multiple boxes, but I'm going to say it every week. You chose Harrison Bader over a lot of other guys. Again, I prioritize different things, but I just don't understand why a team like Boston would say, okay, we're going to try to go away from Soler and work on maybe keeping Justin Turner. That doesn't make any sense to me, because Justin Turner, he played 7 games for them at third base, which, to the Met fans who also want JT out here, he's also now going to be a year older after just playing 7 games at third base. And the reason why you guys want Justin Turner is because we have a question mark at third base. So, to me, that kind of thought process doesn't exactly add up. He played maybe about a dozen games at second base. That still doesn't help your problem. And 40 games at first base. We don't need that either. So I think that when we're looking at it, you just got to be looking for the best overall hitter. And Jorge Soler, I think he's the best fit because of his age. I think he's a perfect fit. But if they're so caught up on it having to be a 1-year deal, you got to think JD Martinez is in that 1-year deal option. Like he can't. I don't think another team would be offering him more considering his age. It's what he got last year with the Dodgers. He got the 1 year. So I could see that happening again. So for me, I don't see an excuse why they wouldn't address this. And I'll tell you what, if they start the year with Mark Vientos in AAA, I'm gonna freaking lose it. Because how many more times do we have to send this guy down to AAA just to call him up, just to send him down again? It's like Andrew said, make a statement, like make a stance. Are you going to play him? Are you going to trade him? What are you going to do? Because you cannot do this send up, call down. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. We'll never figure out what Vientos' deal is. That's why we kind of wanted DH in the first place, because we just don't know what Vientos is on the major league level. And we'll never know if you're going to start him in the minor leagues for freaking DJ Stewart. Again, I just don't understand this. You know, he had a hot stretch, but look at where this guy was before that in his career with Baltimore. He wasn't very good. Like, I mean, that's the thing that I just don't understand why. Like, how could you say I'm going to rely on DJ Stewart over a Hall of Famer like JD Martinez? That's insane to me. That is absolutely insane to me. So for me, I wish they would just address it and not try to take the chance of one of these guys panning out, because I just don't think they're worth the risk, especially with the way they've handled it these past few years. And I just don't want to see Vientos in AAA again. I will lose it, because I'm like, you could trade this guy for years. You could have actually given him a chance. Like, they've just done the worst thing possible every time with him, and I don't want to see it anymore.
Found it very interesting when you did bring up Adam Duvall, because like we've gone back and forth with him before. One of my main problems with Adam Duvall is the fact that he's never on the field. Like, you never see him on the field.
He was hurt this past year.
But the thing is that if you compare him to Harrison Bader, Bader has the same problem. They could have gotten Adam Duvall instead of a guy like Harrison Bader. But I mean, if you prioritize defense in center field. I'm okay shifting Brandon Nimmo to left field, but I'm not going to put a 35-year-old Adam Duvall in there when I've already paid $162 million to somebody to be my center fielder. You know, if you're going to move somebody to center field and move Nimmo to left, then it might as well be somebody on a 1-year deal, because obviously I'm not going to, you know, replace the center field for defense with somebody who's 35 years old. But again, they could have gone that track if they're talking about like corner outfield spots. But as for the internal pieces, like I just said, I think that one of them's going to start off in AAA and one of them's going to be the starter if they don't add a bat. But there still is a strong possibility that they do add a bat. I'm still very pessimistic at this possibly happening. You know, maybe they do bring in a bat, but I feel like if there is a bat that they bring in, it's going to be someone that no one's talking about. I think that you're going to get somebody random in that category as the best bet option. I think that we've kind of just danced around the Soler and Martinez and Turner and Rhys Hoskins. We haven't even talked about that much, but like other pieces that could DH for you. I don't know if there's like that much substance to them getting a DH. I would love for them to get one. If that's what they want to focus on, giving the young guys the leash, go ahead and give him the leash. I do warn you, again, we talked about this last week, the DH, with how they have set this lineup up, the best position you have to win is the DH batting fifth and protecting Alonso. Like, that's it, because Harrison Bader ain't going to bat fifth. Jeff McNeil cannot bat fifth. I'm sorry. Starling Marte cannot bat fifth, even though these guys have done it before for some fucking reason. Beatty can't bat fifth. Like, that can't happen. There's no trust in those guys protecting Alonso whatsoever. So the DH has to be fifth in order for them to put them in a position to win. I don't know if that's going to be addressed or not. You just don't know about Vientos, like we've talked about. We don't know if he's a good consistent hitter or a good consistent player. They haven't given that opportunity, but then you're also going to be putting him in the best case scenario batting fifth. So that's a big bet to take.
Well, on the flip side, I also think that you're putting a lot of pressure on Mark Vientos, in my opinion, because I mean, to us, we say that it is extremely important to be the one to protect Pete Alonso. And it's like, well, here you go, Vientos, like, good luck. You know, I mean, that's kind of, you know, where I would counter that is that maybe if Vientos, if Vientos all of a sudden gets hot, then okay, you can move him up to fifth. But, you know, that's why I could still see them, like I said last week, I could see them starting with McNeil, and then if Vientos gets hot, make that switch. I think starting Vientos straight away, like you're the guy to protect them, that could be a little tough on a young player. And then he presses, he gets strikeout happy again, like, you never know how, you know, the mental aspect plays into it as well. Because, again, we know the talent is there. He has the power to be a power hitter. But, again, just that consistency is ultimately what's going to come down to.
Yeah, and there is a strong possibility where instead of having Vientos lower in the lineup, you could just have DJ Stewart there batting fifth. And that could be happening, and you start Vientos in AAA. And like you said, of course, I don't want to see him in AAA. If they are going to hold on to him, give him the playing time, of course. It also would be a little bit harder to give him that playing time if they were to bring in another bat. So it's a very pivotal point, like Andrew just said. Like, they're not really giving a definitive answer of what they're going to do at the DH spot. But to me, I like the upside of every combination, to be honest. Like, I like the upside of every combination. I'm not saying like we don't have a Daniel Vogelbach here anymore. We don't have Darren Ruff here anymore. It doesn't seem like a concern yet until you see what they do. But I mean, I still would get that established bat. I obviously would. I'm okay with having the top heavy lineup, but you have to have somebody after Pete Alonso, because Pete Alonso there, nobody protecting him, death row after that, where it's not competitive against high profile velocity. I mean, you're not going to have offensive performances as you actually want to have, even with the top half of the lineup producing. And listen, if they want to put Alvarez behind Alonso to protect him, fine. But like, again, that's another thing where like, I kind of like Alvarez in front of Alonso. That's just my preference, but I don't know if they're going to count Alvarez as that, but you still have the same top heavy lineup of just like 4 freaking hitters.
Talked about is that like you could bat Alonso second, you could bat Alonso fourth, but no matter how you do it, it's still the same top 4.
It's
Just
still
in a
4
different
competitive
order.
hitters.
They're going to be, yeah, exactly, your productive pieces that you know for sure. The other guys are very much, question marks and hopes for the most part.
Don't forget Jeff McNeil.
Well, again, he's a question mark after having a bad year. I consider him a question mark.
You sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's batted over 300 before. I don't know. I think like if you do that once, you're going to do it again forever and ever and ever.
I understand what you get in the top 4 in the lineup, but at this point, would it just make more sense to do it with just... Again, I'm like Carson. I am fine with Alonso in the 2 spot and putting Lindor behind him, then put Alvarez behind Lindor. Yes, that bottom half of the lineup, but at this point, just for Alonso's fucking sake, like put Lindor behind him. Like I get Buck always that old school. He wants to put Lindor in a 3 and the fat ass in the cleanup spot. But like again, we don't know what the hell is it a Stearns again? We'll see what Mendoza, and that's another rant for another day. But we don't know how his managerial philosophy or whatever. But like at this point, just for Alonso's sake, put him back in the 2 spot and leave him. Put Lindor in the 3, Alvarez in the 4, and then just we'll see what the hell else the rest of that lineup. Again, it's a fucking death roll of whatever. But at this point, just for Alonso's sake, and like again, have Nemo get on 2-run homer, boom, you're up 2-0. It's like the Schwarber thing in Philly, where like Schwarber 1-0, and hell, Nemo's hitting 25 homers now, so I mean, you get a little part of that. But at this point, just put Alonso in a spot where he has protection, and then Lindor, whatever. But just the fact of hey. And we saw Lindor is, he's better in high leverage. He's good in high leverage. So again, you're gonna walk Alonso to get to Lindor in a big spot, like. And I know Buck always had it the other way around, but it just drove me insane. And then Alvarez, then you can put McNeil behind Alvarez, and it's not that. It's a big deal. Don't get me wrong, but like if it's Nemo, Alonso, Lindor, Alvarez, there's no complaining anymore about like pretend for protection for Alvarez. Which again, if it's Marte, it's a gerbil. If Brett gets his head out of his ass, like whoever that death row with DH, if it's Ventos or whatever, like at least, again, we've been complaining about it just protecting Alonso, he would have that protection. And then if you'd be complaining about protecting Alvarez, but at least you would have Alonso protected with Lindor behind him. And I'm just, again, we don't know what the hell Mendoza is going to do as a manager, but just to fix that problem, and then just having to fix 5 through 9 is a lot for me. Less of an issue. Be like, okay, you can fix the bottom half, but like we could stop complaining about the protection for Alonso because you put Lindor behind him and then Alvarez behind him, where like you could just be done. And then again, it's just fixing that second half of that lineup. At least that's just from my perspective. I'm just done talking about like if they're not going to go out and sign the guy, put fucking Lindor behind him and be done.
I really don't care what is going on past 5 at this point. Like I really don't even care. Accepted that, like, yeah, the bottom 5, it's gonna suck. Like the bottom 3, bottom 4, like it's just gonna suck. It's just gonna be a bunch of noodles and a bunch of guys who are just gonna have such low floors. Like I don't even care. Like you got to have somebody past Pete. And listen, if you put Pete in the second hole, like again, like that's where your best hitter usually goes in some philosophies. But also you can give him more plate appearances as well. Wouldn't you want your top bat to get more plate appearances? Like, but like, come on, like this whole power bats clean up. I want to see Pete Alonso be up there in the first inning. Like I need to see him up there in the first inning. Run support is run support. And if we can give him an early lead, we can give him an early lead to pitch through.
When you have a guy like Nimmo with such a high on base percentage batting right in front of Pete, I think that maybe that would also help pitchers act a little differently. Like, okay, we already got one guy on base. And do we want to put 2 guys on base if we're not going to be pitching to Alonso like the way they have in the past? I just think that what's kind of annoying is that, like you've shown the numbers before, when the Mets have batted Alonso second, it's actually the best he's ever done. but for some reason they haven't actually done it for like a whole season or like a big sample size consecutively and then see what could happen.
This is why Mickey Callaway, he's very underappreciated as a Mets manager because he put Alonso second.